trying to take huge chunks, take bite-sized bits. Take some in the morning before you start studying, before you start working. Then maybe at lunchtime while if you're alone, you're not talking to your friends for whatever reason, maybe you had to stay at your desk, maybe you, whatever. Maybe you can get 5 minutes to watch a YouTube video in English. Okay? On your way home, if you're commuting, maybe you could listen to a listening test on your CD player or on your handheld. And then in the evening, maybe just take 5 or 10 minutes, read the news of the day. What happened today? What are the football scores? What do the new cars look like for next year? Doesn't have to be anything difficult or anything really challenging. It's anything you do will help. Okay? And push yourself every day and everywhere. It's the best way. Your teacher isn't there every day. I'm not there every day, but you are. You're there every day. And you're the only one who can push yourself to do something every day. But take it in bites. Don't take it in huge gulps that choke you. Take it in bite-sized pieces. That's the end of the countdown presentation. I hope you found it useful. Now I'm going to take some questions. To do this, I'm going to exit this screen, and I'm going to you'll just be able to see me. Oops, that didn't work. Oh, maybe we'll be okay here. Here's the chat button. Okay, let's see some questions. All right, scrolling very quickly. There must be lots of questions tonight. Let's see if I can stop it. Is it necessary to speak for 2 minutes in speaking task 2? If you possibly can. At 2 minutes, the examiner will say, thank you, and they'll stop you. And then you know it's 2 minutes. Try and speak for the 2 minutes. You can do it. You need to practice. Get a topic and practice. Record yourself. Time yourself. Okay? It's the best way to do it. Let's see. Speaking again. If the examiner will wear a mask during the test, make the question hard to understand. Well, the examiners have been told to speak more loudly and to speak as clearly as possible. But if you still have trouble hearing them or understanding them, they will speak even more loudly and even more clearly. So bear with them. But I really don't think it'll be an issue. You'll be about 1.5 meters from them, about this far, and you should be able to hear them. I know it helps to be able to see someone's mouth when they're speaking, but not all examiners will be wearing masks. Some people won't. So other than the fact that they've been coached and trained on this, that they are supposed to speak as more loudly and very clearly. So I really don't think it's going to be an issue. Let's see. What is the correct meaning of write no more than 3 words and or a number? Okay. Okay. It means exactly what it says. Either write 3 words. You could have, if 4th is a number, you're okay. But you can't have 4 words. But you could have 3 words and a number. Or you could have 3 words. Or you might just have a number. Okay? It's just what it says. You have 3 words and a number, or just a number. Okay? Up to 3 words and a number, or just the number. Okay, that's what it means. Practice reading of academic language. Well, there are sample tests on the website. Parts of tests. They're not 1-hour tests. I would never ask you to do that. You need to do sections. Just do a section of the test. Time yourself. Give yourself 20 minutes Don't start with 1, 2, 3. Look for numbers, names, dates, and try to answer those questions first. Remember the strategies I told you. In a section of questions, if one of them has a number, find that number, and then you know the questions above and below in that section of the reading. And practice. I've said that many times tonight. Whatever you're doing, you have to practice. If you just sit at home and do nothing, you're never going to improve your language skills. Is it okay to start the second section of the reading test first? Well, yes, it's okay, but I don't recommend it because the first section is easier. So you have more likelihood of getting more correct answers, which will help your score. So if you build up your correct answers, then it gives, and you do it more quickly because they're easier questions, it's going to give you more time for the more challenging questions later in the test. Now, question, how about specific name or a noun? Do we need to have a capital letter? Now, in the reading and listening, it doesn't matter about capital, uppercase, lowercase. It doesn't matter. You could write my name, M-A-R-K, small letters, or M-A-R-K, all big letters. And the reading and listening test, because it's just an answer to a question, doesn't matter. But in the writing test, it would matter. If it's someone's name, that first letter must be bigger than the other letters. And a name, a city, a month, right? A language, a country, there the first letter must be taller. The writing test has rules of writing, okay? But those same rules don't apply in the reading and listening test. In the writing test, you have to write sentences as parts of paragraphs. It's more formal. It's formal writing. But in the listening and reading test, you're just picking the answers. All they want to see is that you found the answer. And they're not, they want you to spell it correctly, but they're not concerned about uppercase and lowercase. Let's see. What's the difference between IDP and the British Council test? Nothing. The test is exactly the same. Okay? The test is written, the test, IELTS, is written by Cambridge University. And IDP and British Council are the companies that give the test. They give exactly the same test on exactly the same days at exactly the same times. Okay? And in the paper-based test. In the computer-delivered test, the tests are all random and jumbled up. So you'll be sitting at a desk and your test is different than the person that's 1.5 meters away taking the test. It's a different test. It wouldn't do you any good to try to look and see. So don't even try that. It's not an issue. There's nothing there, nothing that would help you. But as far as the British Council and IDP, same thing. I mean, the service might be different, you know, I mean, the locations, maybe it's closer to you, or they were really friendly to you, or whatever, or they answered your email more quickly. You know, just think about what's best for you. I mean, obviously, I feel I work for IDP because I feel that they're much superior. But as far as the test itself, it's exactly the same. So that part doesn't matter. Let's see. I look tired. Well, sorry about that. No, I don't feel tired, but thank you. That's a nice comment. Or can I download the countdown booklet? I don't know if it's online, but you should have been sent one when you registered for the test. Listening practice tests with the new changes. They're coming. I've seen one. I'm sorry, I can't remember where it was. It might have been IELTS Essentials. There's probably an IELTS Essentials. IELTSessentials.com. That's kind of the place where you find most anything that you want to do with IELTS. Let me go down further. Comprehensive webinar. Well, thank you. It's nice to know. I'm glad it was helpful. To what extent do you agree or disagree? In this question, you have to write both sides. Yes, you have to. You have to. To what extent do you agree or disagree? You must discuss both. You must. If you don't, it's a serious penalty. You'll go down to a 4 or 5 on task achievement because you were specifically told by that question to what extent means You must discuss both. So if you don't, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. That's a penalty. Okay, let's see. How can we improve our fluency in speaking? You have to speak. You have to. It's the only way. Speak as often as possible. Speak English as often as possible, excuse me. Difference between closing the letter for formal and informal? There's no real difference. I always tell my students, sign any letter, formal or informal, regards, and your name. So I'd say, you know, oh, I really hope you can come to the party, informal, regards, Mark. Okay? You really need to get this information to me as quickly as possible because it's very important. Regards, Mark. Okay, it's fine, regards. Except if you're writing to your mom, okay, then don't say regards. Okay, she might get upset about that. But other than that, then you don't have to worry about yours faithfully, yours truly, sincerely. To put regards, it works. It was on the list in that GT writing. It was right there, regards. It's the most common, the most comfortable, the easiest to remember. How can you forget regards? Okay, and it works for everything, formal, informal. I got an 8 in writing. Congratulations. Used all grammatical structures. Given an 8. What really holds me back from getting an 8.5 or 9? Well, you probably made some small mistakes, because that's all the difference is. Maybe you made 5 tiny mistakes. Maybe you dropped an article, or you put you missed you put at the table when it should have been on the table. You know, preposition mistake. You probably only had a few very small mistakes. You know, that's the difference between an 8 and a 9. A 9 is just completely comfortably fluent in every regard, except maybe 1 or 2 tiny mistakes. But an 8 makes a few mistakes or might use the wrong vocabulary word. Maybe you said less when you meant fewer, okay? Something like that. So it's just tiny little things. You'll find from practice, if you could get somebody to review one of your essays, they would probably find 4 or 5 small mistakes, and then those are the specific things you could work on. Okay? So your language skills are excellent, though, to get that score, so I wouldn't worry too much. The only people in the world I know of who need a 9 are examiners, okay? It's the only job in the world that requires that you get a 9. Nothing else does. And task 2, will it increase my score if I briefly mention what I'm going to discuss? Well, sure. Well, no, you don't want to give the specific examples. You just want to give the category, the topic you're going to discuss. Don't pre-mention the examples you're going to give, because then that takes away from the paragraph where you list and explain your examples. So you don't want to put your examples in there twice, but you can say, I'm going to discuss both the positive and negative aspects of television. Okay. Now, you know it's going to be positive and it's going to be negative, but you haven't said the specific examples because you're holding them for the body paragraph where you're going to explain them. And that's where the strong score comes from. The more you explain, the better your score will be. Should the letter I, meaning I, always be a capital, an uppercase I? Yes, always. The first letter of a sentence in the writing test should always be an uppercase letter, always. Okay? And you can begin a sentence with I, it's fine. And you can use I in the IELTS test. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't want to have I in is the first word of every sentence, but if you have some I sentences, it's fine. I've had lots of people over the years who said their teachers told them never use the word I in the IELTS test, but that's just not true. You don't want to overuse anything. Anything can be overused, but occasional use, it's perfectly fine. You know, that repetition and overuse is a penalty, like using the same sequencing word, moreover, moreover, moreover. That's the most common one that people repeat over and over and over again is moreover, or well, 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 moreover, moreover, and of course that's going to be a penalty. So if every sentence is I, I, then that will be a penalty too. But if there are some of them, it won't hurt your score at all. That same question is here many times. I see you were getting, you want to make sure I saw it. The one about, anyway. Does it matter if you do not indent on the paper-based test? Well, now, what if you go back, if you didn't indent, okay? Did you leave a blank line between your paragraphs? Because if you don't, then they're right against each other. And how do you tell where one stops and one ends? Okay, maybe this last sentence is very short, so it's obvious. But then you're looking at the end of a paragraph. The examiners, you're making him look, or her, at the end of a sentence to find where the beginning of the paragraph is. And that doesn't make any sense. Leave an empty line between a space or two lines. But if you indent and leave a space, that's even better. If you leave a space and then you decide, I want to write a little bit more, and then you write in that space and fill it up, if you don't indent, your paragraph disappears. But if you indented it and you indented the next one as well, even though you wrote in that empty line, sorry, I should write this way. Even though you wrote in that empty line, you still know where the next paragraph begins, and you still know where the last paragraph begins because you indented. Now, in the computer delivered, if you decide to add an extra line, the next paragraph automatically drops down. You don't have to, you need to leave the blank line, the empty line, but typing more in that empty line will automatically move the next paragraph down, so it's not an issue. But in the paper-based test, that next paragraph is going to stay right there. And if you fill in that line in between them with some extra information, they disappear unless you indent them. It's easy to do. I don't know why so many of you hate indenting, but I see it all the time. For this test, this time only, indent. It won't hurt you. It will help you on the paper-based test. How about writing the overview at the end of the writing? That's fine. But the problem with that I find is if you put it as the fourth paragraph, people tend to think of it as a conclusion, and then they give their opinion. But if it's the second paragraph, it's a summary, and you're less likely to give your opinion. Because if you do give your opinion, as we saw earlier, that's a serious penalty, so you don't want to do that. By having it as the second paragraph, you're more likely to remember, but if it's the last paragraph, you're more likely to forget, and then you may put your opinion, and then that will really hurt your score. Same question here, over and over and over again. I have one question. I already answered it, so I'm going to skip it. Oh, I've already registered for paper-based. Can I change it to computer-based? Absolutely, not a problem. Contact the test center, and they'll change you immediately. And they may be able to tell you when they expect to start testing again. Make sure you pay attention. Make sure you get on some kind of SMS or email list. Pay attention to your emails. Don't ignore them. If you're waiting to find out that when you can take the test, make sure you check your emails and your SMSs regularly for that information, because there's going to be a huge number of people, a huge backlog and a big long queue to take the test as soon as it's available again. I mean, thousands and thousands of people take the test every month, and nobody was able to take it at the end of March and all of April and definitely part of May. So you're talking about, probably tens of thousands of people that are ready, you and others like you, who want to take the test as soon as possible. So, get in the queue. Get in the queue as soon as you can. And whether that means getting on a list or letting the test center know that you need the information, whatever it is that you can do, or going to the Facebook page every day, just check it. Go to the website, check, it'll only take you a couple of minutes to check if they have information there, because believe me, it will be on the website and on the Facebook page immediately when it's open and available again. They're going to get that information out as quickly as they possibly can. So make sure you're ready for it. Well, I actually answered more than 15 minutes of questions. I wish I could keep going, but I really have to stop now. It's 9:30 for me, 8:30 in Dubai. I'm not sure what time it is wherever you are. I hope you found this webinar instructive, helpful, some good tips, some suggestions, some good warnings about what not to do. But hopefully you also realized there was a lot here about what you should do. It wasn't all what you should not do. It was actually mostly what you should do. And what you should do is practice, okay? You've got at least a few more weeks before the test is up and out and available again. So please take advantage of that time. Do it in bites. Remember, bites. Don't try to take everything at once. You'll just get frustrated and angry at yourself. But if you do a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, you'll find, hey, this is getting easier for me. Practice those parts of the listening test, parts of the reading test. Read anything you can get your hands on for just a few minutes, though, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then put it down. But if it's interesting, of course, keep reading. That's great if you can read for more than 10 minutes because you found it interesting. That's wonderful. But don't push yourself so hard that you get angry or you get frustrated. That's non-productive. It's counterproductive, and you don't want that. The best thing you can do is have a positive attitude, stay upbeat, do everything you can. Come back next Tuesday for the Ask the Expert. Go to the archived records on the website, on the Facebook page, and look at one of my older Ask the Expert. Because the questions that you asked tonight are the same questions that somebody asked me a year ago or 2 years ago or 6 months ago when he asked the expert. So just listen to part of one of those older broadcasts, because that's not very old. And my hair may be a little bit whiter now, but other than that, the questions and the answers will still be helpful. Hopefully you'll find something there that will be useful for you. I want to thank EduAction here in Tashkent for the wonderful support. Hakmo, you're the greatest. Camilla, thank you very much. To the team in Dubai, the huge regional team, but particularly to Ayo for his help and support, and to Marilyn for everything she's done to help with this presentation and the PowerPoint and everything behind it. The marketing team and everybody in Cairo involved in great support. This is a team effort. I'm just the person giving the information, but there are loads of much more important people behind me. Ayo, thank you again for helping with this broadcast. And thank you to all of you for being here, for taking part. I don't know how many of you there are. There might only be 3 people out there, but hopefully you got something out of the presentation and it was useful and a little bit enjoyable. I hope it wasn't too dry and too boring, but we'll see. Best to you and yours. Ramadan's coming up very shortly, so if you're celebrating, Ramadan Kareem, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a very good evening, the rest of your evening. Relax. Have a relaxing evening. Bye-bye.